Hey everyone, it's been a little while since we've gotten started in Doltoop, and I wanted to make a couple of quick videos to help you get going if you're struggling a little bit as far as our workflow goes and what you need to do to get started. There's a couple of scenarios that I want to share with you and some short video snippets to help you get started and jumpstart your usage of Doltoop if you're not using it already. Keep in mind when you log in, the Useful Training Center. If you hover over your name or your initials or icon for your photo, you should see the Training Center. So when you click on that or hover over that, this will pop open and you can visit the Training Center for a lot of useful information. And it's a very intuitive search engine when you're looking for help within Doltoop. Also, when you start to do anything in Doltoop, the first thing you should do is always search for the loop first. It could be an instance where your admin has already created the loop for you and initiated paperwork. So if I'm going to create a new loop and I want to call it 4567 Test Street, I'm going to see that that is not there and that I'm safe to create the loop. I'm going to create today a buyer loop. This is going to be initiated within Doltoop. So this is a scenario in which you are starting to work with a buyer. You might have just gotten an up call or a call from a referral, and you want to create a loop and start working with this buyer. Now, at this point, you may not know what house they're buying. So you want to make sure you create a loop with the buyer name. Okay. Now there's nothing that has been found with that buyer, so I know I haven't already created a loop. So I'm going to create it with my buyer's name and create loop. Now, what I've done is create loop templates more specific to our office location. In this, you will find similar documents that we have used in our hard copy packets that we have kept in our office for years. So we're going to type in Sally Buyer as our loop name because this is a new buyer and we don't know what house they're buying yet. And then I'm going to click down on the loop templates. And you will see that for our office specifically, your office might have something different. But here I have a listing packet, a buyer packet, a lease listing packet, and a tenant packet that I've created specifically for our office, which contains some more of our local forms, maybe some more specific board forms that we have that other people do not have. Since this is a buyer packet, I'm going to select that and create the loop. Now keep in mind, you can rename your loop at any time. So once you do have a property address attached or you do go under contract with that buyer, make sure that you rename that loop with the complete property address, including the city. So once you're in the loop, you will see the buyer or the name up here for the buyer, and that is the name of your loop. You will see that it's already been selected as a purchase workflow. Okay. You can also change the loop status to a pre-offer because you're just getting started with this buyer. The most important thing you can do when starting a new file within Doltoop, besides searching first, is to view the details of that loop and add all the possible details you can. This will make your life a lot easier and pre-populate many forms for you throughout the entire transaction up until closing. So the people are already added. Your managing broker, I'm added by default on this loop and all of our loops for the templates into my office. But then your admins are already added. You do not have to add any admins to your loops for them to share and see and review your work. So everything you add down here, once you have a street name, you can add all that information in there. I'm just going to put gotta do my numbers. I'm just going to put a little bit of information in here so you can see the fill. You'll put purchase information, all the information you can about the financials, contract dates, offer dates, all of this can fill in here. If there's referral information, specific listing information, and that's obviously geared towards your listings, more so than a buyer side. More information about the property as well. I'm going to save at the bottom of that, so all my details are saved. It says save successful. If you scroll back to the top, you're going to be able to go back to your loop. So what you will see is pre-populated forms that I created for our loop template for buyers. All of these things in here have come from either local board forms or from the general pool of forms that Coldwell Banker Honig Bell has preloaded for us. These are all pre-tagged with buyer or seller names if needed, so that you're able to easily get signatures when ready. I've also created a secondary folder called post-contract or pre-closing paperwork. This is just a little added preparation in the sense that once you do go under contract, these are some of the typical forms you're going to be ready and be looking for when you're ready to submit this to your admin for approval and then on to your manager, which will send to accounting. I've also added a couple of tasks. You can move these tasks to the top of your loop so that they are top of mind. But in these tasks, it's going to remind you to upload things like your MLS sheet, which you can save as a PDF from the MLS, a W-9 if it's necessary, and then any buyer agency disclosures that you have created with your buyer. So this is a snapshot of all of the files that you can use within here. Once you have created all the details in your document, when you start to complete paperwork, say you want to create an offer, when you click on this form, it's going to pre-populate your buyer's information, or you can select the people here and write in the information that you want to add as a person or buyer on this contract. You can also skip the autofill settings if you need to, and you don't have to do that. You can just close the window. So don't feel that you're at a stopping point if you get to an autofill and you feel intimidated. So you can still open up the residential contract. You can click field to field and fill in all of this. I feel the alignment's done really, really well on this compared to what we've seen before with DocuSign. So it's a very, very intuitive form, and you have some formatting features and centering. You can align it so it lines up better if you'd like to within certain fields. You can also mess with your fonts as well. So you'll go through and complete everything here, and then you will send off for signatures once you're complete. Keep in mind, not just this form, but you can actually select multiple forms that you need to fill out for your buyer so that when you send and share with them for them to edit or sign, you can select them all at once, make sure everything that you need is completed. I'm just selecting a few here, a couple of our buyer agency forms. So you're going to open all of those forms, and you can work through signing them all at the same time. If you autofill, it'll make your life a lot easier. Otherwise, it'll put all of the documents in one space for you to complete. I'm just going to do a quick scroll through the contract. You'll see here's your affiliated services form, your buyer agencies, amendments if needed, anything like that. Okay? Once you're complete and everything's set or filled in for you and you're ready to get the signatures, that's when you're going to share and get signatures with your clients. You're going to make sure that the people are in there as a buyer and that they have the correct permissions to either fill and sign, which might be ideal if there's other things they need to type in, or if you just need them to sign because you know with 100% confidence that you've completed those forms exactly as you have discussed with your client. You can also attach the PDF to the email, which is nice in case you have somebody that may not be as tech savvy and they can't seem to get the signing down correctly when they do it mobilely or on their home computer. They can always print the PDF email and sign it manually and send back to you. So this is how you're going to start within Doltoop. Once everything here gets complete and signed and sent back, if you were doing an offer this way or even sharing the offer with a co-broker agent, all your documents are complete. That's the point at which you're going to submit it to review. You do not share with your manager. You do not share with your admin. You only submit to review. We are already set up to view your documents and everything in your loops. Okay? The only time you might share with your manager is if you're working on a transaction with them and they are a co-op broker with you. Keep in mind also that your admin can rename these loops at any time. So So if the naming convention is a little off and it's not consistent with what we have, we can rename those as well to make it consistent. I hope this helps you get started with initiating a buyer transaction through Doltoop. You will see it's also here in my list of loops as a pre-offer. But we'll do some other videos that will show how to now take manual documentation that you've done with a buyer. Maybe you grabbed a folder, you did it all with them sitting at their dining room table, and now you need to load it into Doltoop and submit for review. That will be the next video I show you. Thanks for your time.